Welcome to another episode of Vocal Dialect Podcast. I am Knowledge Born 7. I'm here with my partner, brother Akil, Eduardo Akil. I'm also here with the brother Gerald Moore of the Street Law Soldiers. We do have a special guest with us tonight, our good brother Paul Muhammad.
Yeah, for those who out there that listen to us week in and week out, we appreciate y'all. We made our goal at the end of the year, and once again, help us get to 1,000 subscribers. And also like the video, share them, and make comments. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
All right, our special guest is brother Paul Muhammad. I've been knowing him for a very, very long time. Actually, I've been knowing him during the time, some of the time when I was on the streets, as well as my journey into spirituality itself and knowledge of self. Coming from the streets to the Christian church, and from that I started studying laws of the water, which is Admiralty Maritime Equity Law, and then from there I started studying why people come from, dealing with ancient science and dealing with ancient chemistry. Good brother. Always been on point with me. A lot of my peers back home, we are friends, and a very solid brother. He's from the Nation of Islam, and we are both from East St. Louis, Illinois. He's from Washington Park, Illinois. I am from Edgemont, but it's literally like 10 minutes from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But
solid
the brother, when I first met the brother, real solid. And then when I started my business, my journey into business, he welcomed me with open arms. It actually got me into some of the mosques in East St. Louis and St. Louis, Missouri, because I used to sell soups as well. But I want to introduce you guys to my good brother Paul Muhammad. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, and he's going to be speaking on disaster preparedness. Go ahead, my good brother.
Man, Ramadan Mubarak, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, peace and love, man. First of all, I want to give thanks, man, for y'all honoring me to come, thinking enough of me to come on y'all show, man. I truly appreciate it, and I know each of you to be some good brothers. And as Brother Knowledge stated, man, we've known each other for a long time, and real recognize real. My brother is a stand-up guy, solid brother, has a tremendous amount of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And also, brother Ken Wardo is also a solid brother, man, from the shy town, not too far from our hometown, East St. Louis, so same region. And my brother Gerald, I don't know him as well, but if he connected to you guys, I know he a solid stand-up guy as well. So once again, man, I thank you all for allowing me to come on this show. Just a little bit about me in my bio. I got a background in electronic engineering. Mozambique Elijah Muhammad said one of the first things that we would need in building a new world was engineering. So I went and got my engineering degree because I wanted to understand and know how things work and why they work the way they work. And it made me into a problem solver, or it brought out the things that was already inside of me when it relates to problem solving. And as we know in our community, there are a tremendous amount of problems that need to be solved. And one of those problems is emergency management, disaster preparedness, emergency communication, etc. What really triggered me back into this, because I've always been into this for a long time, the disaster preparedness. I was in Ferguson on the front line, and at that time, I was living in Ferguson when Mike Brown was assassinated in Ferguson, and so I was out there every other night, man. And it dawned on me that they were jamming our cell phone signals. And also, anytime you get a bunch of people in one place at one time trying to make phone calls, it creates a traffic jam. You got people trying to send video and trying to send all these communications out. So I asked myself, man, what are we going to do when all forms of normal communication fail? When the cell phone don't work no more, when the landline don't work no more, what are we going to do? Those of us who say we're tactical and we're military minded and about power, what we're going to do? The power is in our motion over time, So our emotion over time should equal the power, and that means we should find ourselves being tactical, practical, and operational. And so that move or that thoughts in Ferguson led me deeper into this emergency management, emergency communication. So here I am, staying on the battlefield, teaching our people, because we're here to save life, man. You know, we can't say we love our people and don't attempt to save their life. So that's what this is about. As a matter of fact, there was a sister named Aurelia Muhammad who's an international emergency management, and I always say this, for those Bible thumpers, you know, all the prophets and the great adepts, they all was emergency managers. They were all warning the people what was coming and showing them how to survive internally and externally. So that she said that if that's the case, then Brother Paul, what should you be doing right now? So that stuck with me, man. And so here I am today on the show, ready to get it in, y'all. So come on with it.
All right, tell me what's the importance of being prepared doing anything that's about to come before us, as far as a disaster or something like that.
Well, there's a saying that says the best time to get ready for a disaster is not during the disaster, right? So you
Mhm.
want to, because people begin to panic, man, when disasters happen.
Right,
People that ain't ready, or in such fight, you will panic. You could know how to fight, right? But if your heart ain't ready for the experience, if you ain't had that experience through sparring and things like that's why we spar, right? So
right.
being prepared is like sparring. You know,
Mhm.
we exercise in our muscles, so when that time come, it's like second nature. You just go into, you automatically, like if somebody scared me because I train, I automatically go into the mode. So I ain't ready to run unless I'm just trying to get out the way, but I go straight into fight mode, right? So preparing for disaster is like uh getting yourself, your muscle, your memory muscle, your spiritual muscle, your inner muscle ready, so that when it happens, you go right into that mode, you know. So that's what came up for me when you asked that question.
I do want to ask you this though. How was it on the grounds of Ferguson dealing with Mike Brown?
Man, it was chaotic, man. You know, our people didn't know what to do. Even the ones who say they know what to do didn't know what to do. You
Mhm.
know, because you know, because there was a lot of disorganization, and that's what made me sit back. I was sitting back. I wasn't protesting. I was sitting back. I didn't have no picket sign. I was observing, like, wow, man, our people that's out here ready to die, but do they got food stored at home? You know, or the family that you left at home, did you prepare
Right,
them if something happened to you? Right? And I saw all the organizations, all the Black Power organizations, the spiritual organization, they always on different pages, man. You
Right.
know, so you know they say a disorganized lie is stronger. I mean, an organized lie is stronger than a disorganized truth. You know, so our truth that we all know and the pieces that we bring to the puzzle is weak if it's not united. And that's what happened in Ferguson. It wasn't united, man. You know, we were arguing about what to do next. Nobody knew because they weren't thinking that this is an unrest, this is a disaster. And so we should be applying disaster tactics in here. You
right.
know, they were putting up roadblocks. We were getting people getting trapped inside of roadblocks, you know, things of that nature. We didn't have no alternate form of communication. None of that, man. So it was total chaos. It's a great model to sit back and if you were there to observe and see what went right and what went wrong. That's what we should be doing right now, so that in the future we can capitalize off of that.
Gotcha. Also, during a particular time, I learned a lot, especially dealing with commerce, because it was a Baptist church that was giving some of the protesters milk when they were
Yes,
getting hit with gas and stuff like that. And I
absolutely.
know a couple of people from that area. And I think you mentioned this too as well, because another guy had mentioned it too. Even though church and state supposed to be mixed, by them helping those protesters, I believe they came and got arrested the next day. But that
Yeah.
was teaching me about
Well,
commerce.
the police was raiding the church, so the church was helping the protesters when the tear gas was getting sprayed on us. So we run to the church, and they would put milk, pour milk on your face to help get rid of the tear gas. and give you water and stuff like that. And the police, when they would find out, they would raid the church and take the stuff they were using to help. So
Right.
it was, disorganized all around board because we in our community don't truly have a tactical plan. You got strategic intelligence, tactical intelligence, and operational intelligence, and just to mention one of them, strategic intelligence is just knowing what to do. So we spend a lot of time talking about what to do, but we don't go to the next levels of it. We stay romanticized and frozen stiff inside of status meetings. So,
Yeah, I have experienced it myself. Especially coming from the hood. You see a lot of people talk a lot of game and do a lot of stuff. I see a lot of people that freeze up as well. Freeze up. Soon as something happens, it's like they panic because one, they have not prepared, and two, they have not prepared their mind. So if you're
yeah,
not preparing your mind, therefore your mind is confused because it's trying to process all this data. So you mixing your ego, your fear, as well as
that's
your
right.
toughness at the same time, and it's kind of hard to process that if you're not training for it, or if you're not preparing yourself, for that mental challenge. Um, Give us some key points of simple of being just some simple things to be prepared.
Well, I'm gonna start with this. I wrote a workbook, man, that you can get on Amazon on emergency communication, and I'm gonna come a little bit out of this tonight, out of this workbook, man. I think it's powerful. The 7 pillars for survival. So you should have a bug out bag, and that's a bag at your home that if something happened, you just grab the bag and go. You don't need to be fumbling around trying to find a first aid kit, trying to find certain essential items when a disaster strikes. So all your family members should have a bag. It should have a meager change of clothes. It should have like a thermal blanket. It should have some core essential items. But I'm gonna go over the pillars. So you should have a bug out bag. You should have a everyday kit, carry kit. You should have a car kit, right? So a bug out bag in the house, kit in your car, and something you keep on your person. Let's say you work in a school, right? Earthquake happened. You can't get to the car, but your kit that you keep, like sisters, they keep purses on them, right? They should replace some of that non-essential stuff in their purse and replace it with disaster items, some small scale disaster items. So in every particular form of preparedness you do, whether it's your whatever you do at home, your bug out bag, everyday kit, or your car kit, it should have 7 pillars, even on a small level. And I'm going to call off what those 7 pillars are: fire, some form of fire, create a fire, some form of shelter, like a tarp, little fold up tarp that you can have in there that you can easily make a makeshift shelter out of, some health and safety items. So that's 3. Water, some form of water, some form of food, some kind of tools, and some form of emergency communication. So those 7 pillars should exist in every form of preparedness that you do. Your stay home preparedness, your bug out bag if you got to get up and go, your car kit, and your everyday carry kit that you keep on. You should have all these 7 pillars in it. And I think if you did that and you do it in increments, you don't have to go out and spend a whole lot of money. I fell victim to that one time in St. Louis. We had blackouts on the coldest day of the year and then another blackout on the hottest day of the year. So in my opinion, sometimes they testing you. They testing us to see how people react and respond, right? Because how ironic is that? A blackout on the coldest day of the year, then another blackout is on the hottest day of the year. And so I didn't have a lot of items. So I ran out to a army surplus called Uncle Sam's in St. Louis, and I didn't know what to get. I was just buying stuff, man. I had a little bit of money, buying stuff. We had to go way out to Wentzville to get some water. So I was ill prepared. So I never wanted to be caught like that again, man. So buy a little something here and there. Every time you go to Walmart, they got a survival section over there in the camping section. They got survival items. A lot of people don't know that. So when the disasters are coming, I went to Walmart one time and I had certain items, and when I got to the checkout line, people was like, "Where you get that from?" Because they didn't know, and I was like,
Mm.
so it was a clear path to me. Everything was right there while they chasing all the other stuff.
I do want to ask you this though, in the heat of something, as far as disaster preparedness, um Let me give you a scenario. We have the power is out, and let's say the police officers telling us we have to evacuate our home. What in that particular case, what should we be expecting if we are prepared?
If you cover the 7 pillars in your bug out bag, you got everything already. You just grab and go, right? And
Right.
you have a form of emergency power. You should have a bike. We don't even think about having bikes no more. You should have a
I just
bike.
bought a bike. That's crazy. I just bought a bike.
Think about some of this old school bike or a little scooter or something like that, man. And not only that, look at what the homeless do. The homeless teach us something, man.
Yeah.
Or the unhoused, they teach us something, man. I saw a brother, man, and he had a bike and he had a cart. And he was pulling the cart with his bike. And he had all his essentials in the cart. I said, man, now that brother prepared. But he was houseless. But I said, damn. I said, that's preparedness, man. So we should have something as simple as that. That if you had to evacuate, because it's no guarantee that the road's going to be passable, right?
They're not.
So
Mm,
what if you got it? What if you got to evacuate your whole family, right? You
right.
y'all could jump on a bike. You can walk the bike when you ain't riding it, and you just pulling some of your essential items, and then you got your tools. Part of your tools could be your weapons, your bow and arrow, firearm, whatever you choose is your weapon. You know, you have all that on you. Your family, shoot, y'all could pull up in a wooded area and post up. You know,
Right. Right.
so I think that if you think in terms of that, man, bicycles, scooters, uh, and your bug out bag, man, and be ready to evacuate and run scenarios with your family. I got to do more of
Right.
that. And make sure you got a form of communication, man, and a communication plan.
Hey, brother Paul,
Yes, sir.
the sister Mama Earth, she had a question for you. She said, "Can you speak on ham radio communications?"
System.
Oh,
Oh, that
absolutely.
that's his specialty.
Well, we call it lamb radio because we don't eat ham,
That's right.
right? So that the lamb radio or amateur radio as they call it has proven to be one of the most viable communication tools. I myself and my wife, we are general class license operators. There are 3 class operators. You got technician class, general class, and extra. We are general class holders, and we just got certified to administer the remote test for those who you are out there who intend to get your license, because you can't transmit without the license, but you can buy the radio without a license, and you can listen on the radio without a license. And you can get a basic radio for $30 on Amazon, a Baofeng UV5R, or about Baofeng 5RM Pro, which is a 10-watt radio. I recommend the 10-watt radios. And if you got a little extra change and you want to step up and spend $500, you can get radios that can talk across the world without towers. Most handhelds are limited to line of sight. Like that handheld there is limited to line of sight. But if like the old walkie talkies, right? You notice they used to advertise on the boxes that you can get 30, 40 miles, but they don't tell you that they talking about line of sight, meaning if you was in a 2-story building, 3-story building, or on a hill and the other person antenna was in the line of sight of your antenna, you can communicate about 40, 35, 40 miles. You could very well do that, but they don't tell you that. I don't know why, but they don't tell you that. So people run out and buy them thinking they can get that range, and they can't. But with the lamb radio, you notice those have a dial pad because they have repeater towers all over. They operate like cell towers. They all over the place, and you can connect to them. They sit way up high, 1,200 feet, 2,000 feet, and you can connect to them, and it'll multiply your signal over a longer distance. Point in case, I was on the beach, Panama City, Florida beach, me and my wife, and I pulled my radio out because I take it everywhere I go. I pulled my radio out, and I was able to connect to a repeater that was 25 miles away. And the guy I spoke to on the repeater, he was an additional 30 miles away. So we had a 55-mile connection with that. But now here's the other thing. On my higher frequency radios, now the one I got in the garage, I set up a wire antenna. You can set up a wire, man, with an antenna tuner, and I talked to somebody in West Virginia, Kentucky, Florida. I've talked to people in Spain, all over the world, man. And I've miniaturized it and loaded it in a little small box or a backpack that I could also pick that up and go. And I got a backup battery in there. So it's a lot of dynamics to the emergency communication. But you got UHF, VHF, and HF. I can't get too deep into those because I'll go off on a little tangent. But just to give you some idea, you could talk across the world and you could talk local on it. And now I want to share something else with y'all in knowledge. I don't know if I shared this with you. I want y'all to look up something called Meshtastic. Meshtastic. This is a text messaging device. It looks like a BlackBerry. They got different versions of it. You can text message. You don't need a license to have these or transmit on them. But the caveat is you got to build your network. So you can start with your community, your neighborhood, and you can build a whole network because you can set these up in trees with a solar panel to power the battery. And you got text messaging because the message hops. It hops from Meshtastic, and you could create encrypted messaging on these. So here's another thing I want you, each and everyone listening to my voice, to look into Meshtastic device. This one costs $100, but the one I got my wife, it was like 30, 40 bucks. So I got different versions of it to test them out. She was able to go to the corner, and we were still text messaging, and it could interface with a cell phone that don't have no service no more. So you can put an app on the cell phone, right? It don't have no cell service. That app communicates with this device and uses its antenna to send text messaging. It's a cold piece, y'all. You don't need a license.
Drop it in the chat. Also, drop the link in the chat to your book. I'm gonna put it into the YouTube chat.
Okay.
And if anyone want to call in and join the show, y'all can call the brother Shaka Sankofa at 202-294-7831. It's paying. The number is paying on top of the chat, on top of the comments. So if you want to call in and ask the brother Paul Muhammad a question, call on in. Okay.
Check out that workbook, man. $24 on Amazon. And if you're interested in the Lamb radio, this show you how to set up your plan, show you about different radio. It take you into the depths of this thing, man. Because we're trying to build a network. This ain't about to make no money. It's about saving life. Because I'm actually a part of a CERT team out of Austin, Texas, Community Emergency Response, and I'm the emergency communication coordinator. And so we're trying to build a network, an emergency nervous system across the country, so that when it go down, we don't go down. You hear
right. Me? So let me ask you this. So I know you talk about the different disasters and stuff like that, and being prepared. Now, how should we prepare for something that happens dealing with the government or government agencies? How should we prepare? Is it the same way, or is it a little bit different?
It's the same way, because you got to always assume that when it go down, the government might come and try to take some of your resources. They might try to come and commandeer your resources for their goal and for their purpose. But if we take charge of our own communities, like Red Cross might not come to our community, right? Or the resources are limited. FEMA's resources are limited. That's why they seek for volunteers. But if you don't go get trained and demonstrate that you know something, you could take charge of your own community, letting them know, hey, look, we got this over here. Otherwise, they come in and commandeer your stuff that you got, take your Navy beans, take your water, and give it to they folks. So we gotta also be prepared as far as defending ourselves as well. Learn those who don't know how to fight, learn how to fight. Learn self-defense. Learn how to use various different forms of weaponry. Not to be subversive towards the government, but anybody who wants to come and violate God's law,
Okay. Well, I dropped the book in the chat. I'm going to purchase it myself.
Put it on top of the comments. I'm gonna pin it so everybody can see it.
It's in the comments. You can put it at the top.
Yeah.
And now another thing for this, contact list, very important. Dealing with emergency. Okay, something happens. Like one thing I do like really though, y'all about the only 5 I really talk to. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You, Paul. I'm serious. Y'all about the only five I would talk to, and just contact something happens. I would want to know like what the hell going on with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I understand the ham radios and stuff like that. Give us another form as far as a contact list, or should we have a different contact list? I know you say you talk to people in Spain, Kentucky. Who is it safe to talk to?
You won't know. You won't necessarily know. It's like watching The Walking Dead. Y'all ever watch The Walking Dead? You know, friends can become enemies, and enemies can become friends.
Right.
So we gotta govern ourselves accordingly and walk in a perfect manner, keeping always on alert. But I'll say this: there's a method called the PACE method, and when it comes to communication in the contact list, you want to have a primary form of communication, an alternate form, a contingency, and emergency form. PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. And you make sure you got someone outside of the area where the disaster might occur. So the disaster occurs where you at, you got to make sure you got somebody that you've been prepping outside of your area too. So the earthquake hit, which there's been a lot of movement on the New Madrid fault line in Missouri, which is central
Yeah.
United States. So we got to start watching these occurrences, watching the wildfires. The West Coast got the wildfires. Down here, you got tornadoes in the Midwest, tornadoes, earthquakes, etc. We got to start paying attention when this happens. Instead of just telling people to watch the weather, we got to teach them what to do with the weather when the weather changes and how to. And they say a flood is probably the biggest, most deadliest thing that could happen. Because the flood is oftentimes the result of other forms of disaster. When that flood come through, man, you got stuff lurking in the water. You got electricity lines falling in the water, electrocuting people, all kind of stuff, man. So we just got to start somewhere, man. Start somewhere. Start with your families. Prepare them. You got to prepare your neighbors too, because guess what? When they smell your bean soup, or you've been talking crap, saying that you was ready and you was ready, but you didn't help them get ready, right? They're gonna smell
Mm.
your bean. You're gonna smell your bean soup. And who? Guess what they doing? They coming. They coming, man. So it'd be best to start connect with the people in your neighborhood, man. Go to the HOA meeting. Drop some seeds on them in the HOA meeting. Say, hey, do we have a disaster plan in this neighborhood? You know, People will begin to respect you because they're like, damn, I didn't think about that. Or you'll start finding out what the expertise is. You might have military veterans that's conscious now, in your neighborhood, right? That have skills. So man, we got to get busy, man. We worried about some of the wrong stuff out here, man. We
Mm.
worried about
Right,
P Diddy and
right.
Glorilla, Brorilla, and
Yeah,
Morilla. But we ain't getting Morilla, right?
right, right. I know. I think Brother Gerald had a couple of questions for you.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Hotel.
I just wanted to ask, what made you get into the actual communication skill? 'Cause I know you said something about Ferguson, but I'm quite sure you was thinking a little beforehand
Yeah,
before
when I
when you
when
got
I
into
first
it.
got my when I first got my engineering degree, I always was just fascinated with technology, right? And when I heard about the FCC license, I was like, man, I want to, what's this about? And I learned what it could do back then, early on, like in the early 2000s, I think it was around that time. But at that time, you had to learn Morse code to get the license. And I had paid all this money and bought this kit, and I didn't want to learn Morse code at that time. I was a little lazy, so I left it alone. I just pushed it to the back burner. But then fast forward to Ferguson, it emerged back in my mind because I was observing our people was very emotional, rightfully so, but nobody was thinking about like how to prepare. Nobody was thinking. Everybody was trying to send text messages, send videos about what was going on. But I'm like, man, if the communication just get cut off, we screwed. And then I start thinking about warfare. One of the first things the enemies go after is your communication or slavery. What did they do? They cut off our communication. They put slaves that didn't speak the same dialect together, so they couldn't communicate and get. So they knew you couldn't get if you can't get communicate, you can't get free, right? So this triggered me back into it, man. So the seed was already there, like you said, back when I was in college, and then it just germinated, man, and took me on a trip, man. I started teaching other people and started having classes, and And here I am still doing the class. Me and my wife just left Austin, Texas, man, at this revolutionary church. I say revolutionary because the pastor was so conscious, man. And he allowed us to come into his church and teach this stuff to his congregation and reinforced it, man. And so we spent 5 hours. I did a 5 hour training, man, there, man, on showed them how to program the radios, how to connect to the repeaters, did exercises on transferring emergency traffic, like how some people, like in the world of lamb radio, you don't use 10 codes like 1020. What's your 1020 or 10-4? They don't talk like that. They have a different language. So it's essential. But yeah, that's what got me into it, man. Just I'm a problem solver, engineering. When we're problem solvers, man, our mind is a little different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that question, brother.
So what about the actual operation?
Evacuation. Go ahead.
When you was talking about getting an operation certificate or certification,
license.
So how do you go about that, and what does that entail?
So you have to take a test. You got to study these books. This one book, and the book has the actual test question and answer. I'll send that to y'all. I'll send that to all y'all that's on here tonight. A study book, a digital study book. It gives you the actual test questions and answers. And then after that, you could go take a 35 question test and get the license, right? But the caveat is they take the 35 from a pool of 400. So in the book, it's about 400 questions. And then there's an app. You can look up Ham Study online. The app is the quicker way to it. When I first got my first license, I was studying the book. It took me a longer time. But then when I got hip to this app, I was like, man, the app only gave you the core essentials of what might be on that test. And it's like 24 modules, and I study each module. Got my general class license. I got my technician license. So I got the two licenses. My wife did too. She went the same day and got both her licenses the same day. She wanted that thing, and now, I bought her a radio. Man, when she did that, I rewarded her, bought her a $500 radio, where she could talk across the world. And I'm gonna mount it inside her car, and put one of the big old antennas on there. Like y'all see them white boys with. They ain't crazy. When y'all see them guys with all them antennas on their car, man, they gonna be alive when they go down, because they gonna at least have communication, man, because they practicing, you know. And that's why I encourage people to go get the license so we can practice, man. We should be practicing with the mesh tastic, even though you don't need a license for it. But we should be practicing with all this. I got a brother in St. Louis. He got his general class license the other day. We were talking on the radio. No towers, no nothing, man. I was in my garage. We talking on the radio, man, checking the frequencies. Hey, man, is this frequency good? Is this frequency good? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Man, that's why it's important, man. So I encourage each of y'all, man, to go on, get it, man. Go on, do it. Don't be afraid of the language. They got 7-year-old Boy Scouts, and they got their license, man. You could talk to the space station on the handheld. The one that Knowledge showed, you could talk to the space station on that. If the space station is above head because it's line of sight, you could talk to them.
What you said the price was on it again, Brother Muhammad?
$35, man. The cheapest one you can get it for $35.
Okay.
I'm gonna type it in the chat box. The one I have, Baofeng 5RM Pro, 10 watt. Any 10 watt dual band radio is good, because the more wattage that it's pushing, the better. Knowledge, you had a question about evacuation or something like that?
Yeah, if the points of evacuation, like having a map of your area, and not just a map of your area. I was also told you should know where's the closest water source at if something happens by your house.
Oh yeah, knowing where your water treatment plant is essential as well, man, because that could be nobody might not be there. Disaster strike, nobody there. There's number of water there. So knowing where it's at could prove the difference between life and death. And now that you mentioned water, you can buy 55-gallon water, food grade water drums. Make sure your food storage devices are food grade water storage devices. You can get them 5-gallon stackable. You can look them up on Amazon. 5-gallon stackable water, and then get you some water preservation tablets and some water purification tablets. You could preserve it for 5 years and rotate it every 5 years. But start stacking that water, man, because that's man, you can't live but so long without the water. You know, you can go a little longer without the food, but I forget how long it is without water. Is it 3 days, I believe?
I think it's 3 days without
3
water.
days. Yep, 3 days.
So,
Yeah.
so take every household member that you have and think in terms of 3 gallons a day if you can afford it. Uh, and one of the things I did one time, I bought a filter instead of just trying to buy all my water from the store. I just went and got empty gallon jugs and got a filter for my faucet and just filled it with that water, right? And then the water I bought from the store, that might be my everyday water that I'm drinking out of, but the rest of it is storage water because you can't store that water from the store but for so long. You know what I mean? Before it's really
Hmm.
go bad, man. You're gonna have to run through it. So you want to get set up in a way that you can rotate your water.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Gotcha.
hold on. Let me, hey, brother Paul Muhammad, is
Yes,
this
sir.
information on your website?
No, but I could provide a book to you that have that information in it, like water purification methods using activated charcoal, things like that, where you can make makeshift water filters. Uh, there's also, if y'all think about it, there's some kits, and you can look this up on YouTube. There's a way to make water out of the air using a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
So there's a way to take a dehumidifier and turn it to a water extractor from the air. I haven't done it. That's one of my projects that I plan to do. But I do have a book on that on how to do that. And then I did, and then you can buy everything from Home Depot. From the instructions that I have, you can buy everything from Home Depot.
Because
Because
the brother Still Supreme, he saying snapshot the information. I guess when we was talking about the magic, the device that you was talking about, but
the
brother
mesh
Supreme,
tastic.
man, call that number and ask the brother Paul Muhammad anything you want if you have a question, brother, man.
Absolutely, man. Reach out to me. Feel free. I believe my number's on my website. Uh, feel free to reach out, man. The number, I even put my number on the front of the workbook. It's right there on the front of that workbook. I don't know if you can see that, but it's on there. And when you go to Amazon, you'll see the front cover. Numbers on there as well.
Want to ask brother anything, brother Shock?
No, I'm just listening, brother.
And greetings,
Okay.
brother Shaka. Greetings to
How
you,
you
brother.
doing, man? How you doing?
Peace.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, y'all, we got to get busy, man. I know it sounds like a lot to those who are listening, but just start somewhere. You don't have to go out and spend $1 million. Start at your own pace, but by all means, get started. You know, you don't want another year to go by. You don't have nothing. And store you some navy beans, store you some beans, man. Those things can go a long way. The navy bean has some of the most balanced protein in it, but it can last you a whole long time, man. And you can cook this. You can put a pot on some coals outside, man, and cook the navy beans. If you got a woman in your life, man, that woman is the doctor of the home, man. She should be learning how to can. How the women should be having canning parties, learning how to can food, man, to protect what you love. So you got a storehouse of food already ready to go. You just open the can and get busy, man. Learn how to fast. Ramadan started today. So learn how to fast. Fast can do a lot of work, a lot of wonders, including in a crisis when you know how to discipline your appetite. You could not eat for the sake of your family, and you're gonna be all right. You're gonna if you're in the habit of it, right? It's gonna be like second nature. You ain't gonna be sitting nowhere because you eat 3 meals a day. And you can't live without McDonald's, and now you messed up. You're in a state of shock because ain't no food supply shortage. For hell, a person that know how to fast, the food supply gets short. They're like, oh, we're gonna be all right. Give me a bowl of soup.
I had a
Right.
question, man, and I want you to give me your honest opinion, man.
Yes, sir.
So in this, I'm talking about us, black people. So in this world that we live in today, with all these distractions going on and all the bullshit that's going on, do you think we as a people gonna ever be prepared, man?
I think we're gonna be forced to do it. We're
Right.
gonna be prepared once we forced to do it.
Mhm.
There's a great deal of us that's gonna come with the word on the word. The rest of us come with the chastisement, man. You know,
Right.
and we
Right.
like Ferguson, man, brought us together. Remember, it brought the whole world together, right? So think about that, how powerful that was. Hurricane Katrina brought the world together because one thing they say about disasters, they the great equalizers. They're the great equalizers. So when a disaster hit, everybody equal. When the wildfires hit California, the rich folks was just as equal as the poor folks, man.
Mhm.
It's equalizer, you know. So and they had to work together. They had to come together, work together. You know, when St. Louis, when the tornadoes hit St. Louis, it normally don't hit St. Louis City like that because the infrastructure is so old and outdated, man. It had them houses looking like Barbie doll houses. You know how when you go the Barbie doll houses cut in half? It had them. It had the
Yeah.
houses looking like Barbie doll houses, man. The people had to barbecuing outside. One thing though, we love to eat, so we know how to barbecue. So disaster hit, man. We barbecuing everything that's moving. Shit, man. We gonna eat. We gonna live for a little while off of that. You know,
Yeah.
if you got meat and you eat meat, and then you got that in your freezer, start cooking that first when the disaster hit. You know, start eating that stuff up first, because before it go bad. You know, and let me say this, y'all. Oh, you want to think about power too, backup power. So I want you to think about 12 volts. Think in terms of 12 volts. Get you a solar power bank, right? About 3,000 watt power bank. I have a 1,200 watt power bank. And then everything you buy that you want to power, don't think in terms of power my refrigerator and my stove. Think about what truck drivers do. Everything 12 volt, right? Anything that can go into a cigarette lighter is 12 volt, right? They got 12 volt refrigerators, man. I got one. It looked like a big cooler. It's 45 watts on my 1,200 watt power station. I can run it for 24 hours. It freezes and keeps stuff cold. So think that over, man. You know, we got to start learning backup battery power, and I can show y'all how to make one, because all they do, the stuff that's in the box, all it is a battery, a lithium ion battery or a LiFePo battery. It's an inverter, a charge controller, and that's it. And a battery. So let's see, the battery, uh, a charge controller, and an inverter. So you want to get a pure sine wave inverter. You want to get you 100 amp hour or more battery, and a charge controller. All that does is, because you can recharge it with a solar panel. All that does is allow calls for the solar panel so it won't overcharge the battery. So those are the essentials you need. Well, the solar panel too. So you need the solar panel, the battery, charge controller, and an inverter, and you got yourself a solar generator. Easy. And you can save money if you put it together. They got YouTube videos. Go on YouTube and find out how to put it together, and you got some backup battery power. And then start buying 12 volt. You got 12 volt crock pots. You got 12 volt ovens, right? Everything is available to us right now. So if we don't make it in a disaster, it's on us, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
We were doing disaster camping trips, man. I went on a couple of disaster camping trips, man. We got to do more of those. The 7-Day Adventists invited me to come teach a class with them. They got a compound, man, out in South Carolina. They got a compound with hotels on it, y'all, and they serving all vegan
Mm.
food. And we on this. I stayed in one of the little motels, man. It was nice, just like a regular hotel on the compound. It was about 10 of them lined up, man, and it was all their own land. And they were brought different teachers in, man, to teach different things. Uh, Man, I've been on several of those disaster camping trips. We need to do more of that so that gets, again, exercising that disaster muscle, the preparedness muscle. We
Yeah.
got to do it.
Acknowledge,
Yeah.
Mama Earth made a statement. Could you read it?
Mother Earth said, we are going out into the woods every Sunday to get familiar with traveling in the woods, identifying food resources in the woods, learning fishing. The river is full of food and resources.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And,
Yeah.
and we need to get into some aquaponics and hydroponics too, so we can control the water so that we don't go into, these chemicals is polluting these waters, man, and it gets worse in a disaster. So we gotta have a way to test the water and purify it when we find it. Um,
Right. Right.
but that's good, Mama Earth. That's some good stuff. It's good muscle, good exercise.
Yeah, that's very good. Me myself, I got my bug out bag. I have my protection, map of the area, so I know where the water supplies at. What I don't have is I got halfway. I think I can still do it though. I think I know how to get to your house as far as walking. But something was to happen or whatever like that, But you definitely got to be prepared, and we have
Got
to be
to.
smart about how we move too. I got a bug out bag in my Lexus, and I show people how to build a little kit out of Dollar Tree. If you don't have no lot of money, because they sell like the little bags you throw on your back. I saw them, show them how to put stuff in there and stuff. Like me and Ken Waddle did that one time before. Actually, we're gonna do a part two on that.
Yeah.
But definitely just being prepared, being know your surroundings, and being able to familiarize yourself with nature. And so, just because a disaster happens, once the disaster is over, you never know. There might be a second wave, a third wave. So you definitely want to familiarize yourself with nature and knowing different aspects of nature, dealing with for as like what's about to come, if it's about to rain again, it's about to something's the climate
That's
change
right.
is about to switch up.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
also,
definitely, I had to get that device you was talking about. What you say? You can find it at again, brother Paul.
what's that?
The I don't know how to pronounce this, man. The me- the
Oh,
majestic device.
mesh, MESHTASTIC, mesh
Yeah,
Yeah.
ta
Thank
mesh-tastic
Oh,
device.
fantastic
So
device.
what it
Okay.
is, you're creating a mesh network. You create a mesh network in your neighborhood. Just look it up, man. Y'all will see the folks are out here trying to take their whole cities and create mesh networks.
Where can we get
So
it
you
from?
could, Amazon.
Okay, on
yeah,
Amazon.
it's
Cool.
Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay.
Start researching it. Cause at one time I hadn't got to it yet. I was like, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. And one day I was like, you know what? Let me look into this because I'm seeing it popping up, popping up. And then I joined groups on Facebook of people who were using it and seeing what they were doing. Um, and people really taking it serious because you don't need a license to do it. You just got to go out and set the network up. And they taking some of the devices and buying the cheaper ones and putting solar panels on them and setting them up in trees and different places around their neighborhood in inconspicuous places so that they can extend their range. And these you can do encrypted. You could create groups and create encrypted messaging. See, on the ham radio, they don't want you doing encrypted. The FCC don't want you doing encrypted messages, but on this device, you can do the encrypted messages, man. And like I say, they like hoppers. You can, if other people were around that's got them, your message can hop off their devices all the way to from me to Ken Wardo.
Yeah, I gotta
If we
get
had
that.
if we had enough nodes in between us, we could create the hop effect, man. And I think that's a good place for people to start and get them for their family, play with them, man. Um, but you got to get tactical, man, and practical. We got to get tactical and practical. I keep repeating that because we're so romantic about everything. We so in love with the talk about everything, but we don't get busy.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
I don't I don't even like being in a whole lot of meetings these days, man. People just romanticizing about stuff, man. I'm like, look, what we gonna do? After it's over with, what we
No,
gonna do?
right.
What
No,
we gonna
right.
do, man?
Hey Paul, what are they called? Frivolous meetings?
Frivolous status meetings. And then, Bill Gates said that, man. He wrote a book called Business at the Speed of Thought. And thought travels at
Yeah.
24 billion miles a second. I read that book in 1999, man, and he wanted to eliminate paper. He wanted to eliminate paper. So he said he was going to create a digital nervous system. So I flipped it, said, let's create a communication nervous system. Well, he said, man,
Yeah.
people will put gas in their car, travel all the way across town just to have a damn status meeting.
It's funny that you brought that up, because remember I told you me and the brother Narchad went to a meet. It was positive. Like I said, everything stopped because I've been through a lot of meetings too as well over the years. And the fallout, your brother Stanley Muhammad was there. And so I had talked to the owner today. I met him because, he served but I got a jerk chicken wrap. I said, Dre, he asked me my input, what I thought about. I said, yeah, it's cool. I would go follow up because I told him over the years I've been to several meetings. It started off good at first.
And they all disappeared.
Don't go nowhere. So that's why I don't really go to too many meetings no more. But it sounds good. But we should have a meeting, a group meeting on what you talking about, because this is important.
Yeah, that's what I had to say those exact words to myself, and that's what propelled me to stay on this path. Because I'm like, I ain't finna keep just talking about it. I'm finna show and prove, right? I'm finna show and prove. I'm finna let it be born. And so I just started birthing it, man, and start putting my little coins into buying equipment so that I could demonstrate the equipment. Like I got one of my radios cost $1,500, but I eyeballed that thing for about 2 years. And I just went on and got it, man. And then my wife bought me one for about $600-700. I got another one, Then I bought her one for $400-500, and because we can't talk about it unless we about it and be able to demonstrate it, man. So somebody got to step out there and show that it's possible. I just pray, man, that something I say and save somebody's life one day,
Right, yeah. I got to step my game up. I got bug out bags and stuff like that, but I got to step it up, man. Procrastinate. I'm glad that you came on the show, because I was telling Brother Shocky on Mama Earth, I think yesterday, I said this brother is really into being prepared for a disaster.
Yeah, and I ain't all the way, like I want to be, but I'm on the path. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this to us many moons ago. These 3 words, man, and I want y'all to remember this.
Okay.
Prioritize, organize, stabilize. That's what I say to myself to keep putting myself back in alignment, man. What's priority? What is priority? If I keep asking myself that, it brings me back to think and write it down. I have to write it down and write my priorities down. Prioritize, then I organize my priorities and start working on them. Then I stabilize them. Prioritize, organize, stabilize. And it's that formula that keeps bringing me back to the reality of things and what I should be doing personally.
All right. Any last remarks, fellas, before we end the show?
I just want to thank Brother Paul Muhammad. That was some real in-depth information.
Man, I hope
I can keep up with it, but my suggestion would be, I can't get up with a bag and get up and run. I'm not in that position to do that. So I know me, I'm just gonna hunker down the best way I know how.
There you go. Hey, there you go. As long as you got what you need when you hunkering down, but I always have that. If you can't move, if your mobility is not as good as you would like it to be, then hey, man, get you a bike, or make you a little go-kart or something. You know what I mean? Hey, man, and get you a drone.
I can't ride a bike either. Can't ride a bike either.
I say we also need to include in our kit a small scale drone, man. You know why? Because you want to do damage assessment. That's one of the first things you need to be able to do when an earthquake strike. Send that drone up, because you may not be able to go over here. You don't want to waste a mile walk just to find out it's impassable. The most drones, even my basic drone, can go 2 miles and 2 miles back, and go 2 miles out, 2 miles back. So you got 2 mile radius. Nowadays you can get a good drone for about $300. And if you just don't have the coins to fork over at one time,
that's what I got to get.
Yeah, you could go in QVC allows you without a credit check or not. I don't think they do credit check. You could do 5 payments on these things with no interest. You know.
Paul, you want to hear something funny? I think 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Man, I got a drone. I should have just got a cheaper one just to get a feel. Man, I crashed the first time I flew it. Damaged. I like, man. So I should have got a cheaper one so I could practice on it, then went to what it cost some money.
Yeah, or let me know a certain kind, man. It's hard to crash them certain ones because they hover in place. If you don't move it, if you don't move it, it's gonna sit there. And then it's like it's like a joystick, right?
Yeah.
And if you do it that way, gonna go that way, do that way. It's real easy. If you know how to play a video game, you can fly a drone.
Well, no, give you a call when we get off the line. No conversation.
Yeah.
Tell me what's a good beginner's drone.
Yeah.
I do want to get another.
Yeah, because we need intelligence, man. We need like they got their intelligence agency, right? We need our intelligence agency, people that's gonna go learn crafts and skills, man, technical skills, man. Like you can buy bare bone drones and build your own if you want to, man. Teach babies how to build drones and how to make them tactical and how to make them do waypoints. You could program it to go to this point, have to leave that point, go to that point, go to this point, and come back. You know, so you could program it to do surveillance on its own. Boom, 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 and come back, man. So it's so much at our disposal that we can't lose, man. If we stay the course.
Right.
Yeah, we can't lose, man.
Any last word for the brother Shaka Sankofa?
What's that? I hear you.
Any words for the brother Shaka, for the brother Paul Muhammad before we get off the show?
No, it's extremely informative. I'm just listening, man. It's the only way I can learn. You know, some of the things I already have in place. You know, because there's various types of disasters. So, you have to be prepared not just for a weather disaster, but you know, a biological, chemical disaster, food shortages, all sorts of different.
That's right.
Even civil outrest disasters. So,
that's right.
Yeah, like a lot of things to be. Yeah. Man, and so you know, personally, I think that will be one of the first stages in the apocalypse. Will probably be civil disobedience and civil unrest, based on the fact that you know the way to create or dismantle a race of people is by taking their food, taking their main resources from them, their food, water, and shelter, and have occupy their communities and their dwellings. So I have a little, you know, in this basement, you know, I have some. I have something. I had a few things, you know. So you know, and at the same time, we do have a semi-evacuation plan. It's not been practiced, you know, and I'm gonna step that up throughout the year. But you know, it was very informative, and I hope people will take heed of it and don't think that these things won't happen, because they're already in place. They just decide which route they're going to take to attempt to annihilate us or attempt to neutralize us.
That's right.
Neutralization could be mental and spiritual. So it's different levels to this to control a race of people who are the original people of the planet. So it's a very, very strategic and long drawn out plan that they've been putting in place since 1951, actually. So we have to, and also being in the military myself, I know a few things. So I'm just hoping that our people will break out of this hypnosis and understand that these people are not playing with us. They don't care about us. They're trying to annihilate us, save a few of us for reproduction purposes, and subservient services to keep the world turning, because they can't do it without us. And we must, like you said earlier about, how people are focused on R. Kelly and and entertainment, Meg Thee Stallion, and all these type of things. These are just distractions. Because every time they do a distraction behind the scenes, there's an action put in place. So, they're trying to stay at least 3 or 4 steps ahead of us. So we gotta be able to have these preparedness and teach these sisters, spend some money on beans and cases of water instead of extensions in their hair. Tell these brothers to stop spending on LeBron James shoes and, invest in getting a gun license, or at least teaching your children and grandchildren, taking them to the range to let them see what actual combat will consist of in terms of them, having to defend themselves for their lives. So, once again, I enjoyed listening to you,
Thank you,
brother.
brother. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ken.
Once again, man, we want to thank y'all for joining us. Hit that like button, hit the like button, and share this video, because this show is all about giving information, positive information, especially for our people. So, this is what you get. But it's like our brother Paul Muhammad, I appreciate you, brother Paul Muhammad, for coming on, man.
Man,
My
appreciate
brother,
y'all, man.
you know what I'm saying?
Man,
And
appreciate y'all.
for those, you can follow us as well on Instagram. You can follow Vocal Dialect on TikTok. You can follow us on Facebook as well. And follow the General Peace Shocker St. Kofa. He come on live in the evenings between 8 and 8:30 p.m. EST. And follow the brother, because he keeps it raw and uncut. In fact, he's coming on tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. That's all.
All right. Peace and
Man,
power.
peace and
Peace,
love.
family.
Peace.
Hey, see you guys next week. Thank everybody for all the love. Shout out to my brother Paul. I'm finna buy your book too, Paul. So